Commander, are you ready to bring the might of the galaxy to bear on the Reapers?
In the final days of the war, a three-pronged assault was gathered and aimed straight at the heart of the Reaper invasion, Earth. With the Citadel revealed as the catalyst necessary to activate the Crucible, and the Citadel itself maneuvered in high orbit over the blue planet, a most tempting target presented itself. The last perceived hope of galactic civilization within this cycle. The Sword battle group, consisting of the finest ships of the line, capable of weathering the onslaught better than any other ship in their respective fleets, would form the initial advance. Trailing behind them would be the Hammer battle group, a massive ground force of Krogan, Turian, Geth, Quarian, and Human, designed to land quickly and land hard. Between these two, the Reaper's forces would be occupied on land and in the skies above, which would pave way for the Shield battle group, the largest concentration of ships in the combined fleet, whose purpose would be to escort the Crucible to the Citadel and ensure that it docked intact. Shepard himself would spearhead the charge of the Hammer group, rallying the forces of the disparate species into one cohesive unit, and clear the way to and through London to relieve the battered and broken resistance unit that Anderson maintained. The initial advance was brutal. Losses mounted with frightening quickness as the fleets moved into position, but through the initial onslaught they began to take ground, and soon the Hammer was charging through the hole punched in Reaper lines, slamming down hard on the surface. Here, too, there were casualties on all sides, with husks being scattered like flies, and Allied forces succumbing to their own wounds. As the battle for London raged, for several tense minutes, it looked like the offensive might fail. But thanks to keen insight and the effort on the part of Shepard and his squad, the Hammer was victorious, and secured a large section of the London downtown. As Turian sat side by side with Krogan, and shared water and ration, Shepard heard a familiar call on his comm.
Shepard, I need to speak with you. In private.
Shepard made his way outside the building into the debris field where his old friend stood alone, shaking visibly.
Anderson?
His friend slowly turned with jilted movements to face Shepard, his expression clearly pained.
Shepard! I can't!
I underestimated you, Shepard.
A hologram of the elusive man walked calmly forwards, pristine as always, facing the two soldiers.
I warned you. Control is the means to survival. Control of the Reapers, and of you, if necessary.
They're controlling you. You're indoctrinated.
The elusive man's face turned ugly with rage.
No! I'm in control! No one is telling me what to do! The two of you so self-righteous. Do you think power like this comes easy? There are sacrifices.
Anderson grunted, visibly straining against the control, and managed a hesitant step forward, trying to reach Shepard, and the holographic figure shook his head.
You'd undo everything I've accomplished. I won't let that happen.
From behind the holographic vision, the true elusive man stood, his cybernetics now fully visible. Time seemed to slow as Anderson fell forward, blood leaking from his forehead.
This isn't about me or you. It's about things so much bigger than all of us.
The elusive man pressed forward, unleashing his indoctrination control upon Shepard, forcing the soldier to toss away his gun and pressing him back against the debris, and raged.
Don't you understand what I've been trying to do? Don't you understand what I've been trying to accomplish? This isn't about just survival anymore. This is about domination. This is about flourishing. This is about humanity doing more than just scrapping out whatever meek existence the galaxy sees fit to give us. This is our destiny to rise above petty squabbles and meaningless efforts and spread across the galaxy and beyond. The Reapers are the path to this. You know this, Shepard.
Because of you, humanity is already undone.
No! I am the savior of humanity! I am the pinnacle of our...
Without warning, shots rang through the air. Anderson, struggling even to breathe, lay behind the elusive man, gun still in hand. The elusive man fell back onto the dirt, his eyes still wide with shock. But as a few seconds passed, they dimmed, and a look of peace settled over his features for the first time in years. He gazed up at the stars and whispered, "The very first time I saw that far horizon without end, I wanted nothing more than to bring our people to it. I'm sorry, Shepard." The light in his implants, in his eyes, faded away, and the elusive man was no more. With the indoctrination control severed, Shepard ran to the fallen body of his comrade.
Anderson?
With unsteady, rasping breaths, Anderson reached up to take Shepard's hand.
It's, quite a view.
Stay with me. We're almost through this.
You did good, son. You did good. I'm proud of you.
His eyes continued to stare up at the night sky, but nothing remained within anymore. Shepard knelt over the body of his commander, of his friend, and wept silent tears. Seconds that felt like hours passed, and distantly he became aware of Hackett's voice, announcing that the Crucible was now docking. They'd made it. It was all worth it.
Nothing's happening. The Crucible's not firing.
Nestled amidst the shield group, Hackett stared in quiet disbelief at the readings that lay before him. There was no denying the facts. Nothing was happening. The Crucible remained inert, no more useful or helpful in stopping the Reapers than a very expensive toy. The reality of it sank in as Hackett's voice rang across old channels, declaring what he had most feared for all to hear. It was a lie. The Crucible, like the Citadel before it, and the mass relays before that, was just another layer of the trap set by the Reapers, and all the resources, and all the effort, and all the sacrifice had been for nothing. Down on the ground below, Shepard looked down at the body of his dead friend, tears in his eyes, as the full weight of the situation settled upon him, and for a moment nothing was said. Then his eyes settled on the gun, resting just past Anderson's outstretched hand. His friend's final act of defiance, even unto his death, that had saved his life and the life of countless others. And a fire lit in his eyes.
We can do this.
Shepard grabbed the gun and rose to his feet. With quiet certainty in his voice, he turned on the comm and said to all who would listen, "We will not be harvested and die like cattle at the whims of these creatures. We are not going to lay down and accept a fate unimaginable. We will struggle, we will fight, and we will show them how we die, together, with weapon in hand. Take heart and look around you. You're not in this fight alone. We face this enemy together." With the rallying cries sung, an audible din was heard across the battle-scarred terrain as voices of Krogan, Turian, Quarian, Geth, Human, all rose up in violent refusal of their fate. As armies and fleets surged forward, heedless of the danger before them, Shepard's friends and allies joined with him once more, ready to end it the way it all began, together. But they were not the only ones who heard the call.
Hope is irrelevant.
A horrible thrum resounded across the battlefield, shuddering those before it down to their bones, and the Lord of the Reapers descended before Shepard and his squad.
We are the harbinger of your ascendance. We are the harbinger of your destiny. We are the harbinger of your perfection. Why do you resist us, Shepard? Sentient beings need never fear pain. There is no pain. There is no fear. The flesh is a machine. Embrace perfection.
Shepard narrowed his eyes, and in short order began coordinating across the nearby forces. The Harbinger opened fire with its hated red beams, almost lazily dragging them across its opposition, with no hurry, no sense of urgency, just casually obliterating the forces arrayed against it. Turian fighters soared low, loosing their payload before being blown out of the sky or arcing away to make another pass. Krogan cavalry charged in, guns blazing, accepting all losses with nothing more than another cry to charge forward. Turian armor spilled forth over the hillside, all guns focus-fired to target weak spots on the Harbinger's shell. Geth Colossi lumbered into position, unloading barrage upon barrage onto their targets.
We have to pull back! It's too much!
In its arrogance, the Harbinger did not consider the bacteria before it a threat, and so continued its lazy arcs of death and destruction, as the forces gathered continued to focus fire on one spot of the Great Reaper at Shepard's command. And with the creature's kinetic barriers weakening, Shepard's own squad raced forward, bringing themselves right before the abomination. Garrus and Shepard both knelt together, brandishing twin canes, as Tali and Liara took up positions to defend them from the continuing surge of husks that came for them. For 10 long, tense seconds, the weapons powered up, and then fired. The twin 25-gram slugs pounded into the side of the Harbinger with the force of an atomic bomb, and with the firepower of the ground forces, and the arrogance of the Reapers they fought, the injury was severe, and a massive, still-burning slate of the Reaper's shell wrenched free of his body, and fell unceremoniously to the ground with an ear-splitting shockwave. For what felt like an eternity, the battlefield went silent. What had previously been theoretical and hearsay became reality, and as the light dawned on the forces of the galaxy combined, the truth was made known. The Reapers were not invincible. They'd made one bleed. And as the Lord of the Reapers turned, ceasing its onslaught in what could only be called surprise, what had once been dread, and hopelessness, and violent despair, turned into righteous defiance. Within seconds, the call had spread across the planet and into the skies above, lighting a fire that had long since dimmed in the hearts of every single being present there. All hope was not lost. They'd led the Reapers, and now it was time to finish them off. Emboldened, ablaze, the hammer fell hard upon the Harbinger. What had once been disorganized and desperate fighting turned quickly into a unified front of fire and fury. The Reapers present, Harbinger included, began to truly fight back, slowly awakening to their peril, but the damage had been done. With the massive chunk of armor missing and its barriers long since gone, the Harbinger wilted under the assault. In a flash of violent anger, the Harbinger surged forward and slammed 2 massive legs into the ground on either side of Shepard, forcing earth and asphalt and ash up into the air. The Harbinger lowered its 6 eyes to glare directly into the face of its opponent, ignoring the continued attack, ignoring the fire now raining down upon it from the sky, as the edges of the sword and the shield pierced the veil of Reaper lines and began bombardment, ignoring everything except the insect before it.
Your attack is an insult. You are vermin. You prolong the inevitable. You do not yet comprehend your place in things. Your species will be as we are, your genetic destiny.
Shepard glared back, his squad at his side, all weapons at the ready, but he refused to give the creature the satisfaction of a reply.
You cannot stop us, Shepard. Evolution cannot be stopped. Progress cannot be halted. We do not die, and destroying this body gains you nothing.
Shepard's gaze grew cold. As before him he beheld the source of misery and fear and pain a galaxy over. All of the faces, all the lives, all the hearts he had touched these last few years suffered and died at the whim of this most vile of creatures. His eyes narrowed. He called.
Joker,
Commander.
hit him with everything you've got!
Distant fire became immediate as nearby fleets, following the Normandy's lead, opened a massive bombardment upon the Lord of the Reapers.
Fire at will!
Shepard and his squad fled, seeking cover in the debris as the Lord of the Reapers struggled to right itself on damaged limbs and wounded arms to no avail, shuddering more and more violently underneath the barrage. The Normandy herself arced forward, the tip of the spear, and fired.
I wasn't gonna let you guys take all the credit.
One last shot.
Countering interference.
Give him hell, girl.
Twin Thanix cannons blazed through the Harbinger like fire through ice, and for one single moment, all was still as the last of the Reapers ceased its shuddering.
Get safe! Fall back! No!
Our homes, our worlds, our fleets and defenses. All of this. Against all odds. And in the face of the greatest threat this galaxy has ever known. We survived.
The galaxy combined accomplished the impossible. The Reaper threat was no more. And thanks to the valor and courage of Shepard and his crew, a new future had been bought with pain and blood, paving the way to a better tomorrow.